Welcome to the Ever After cast, brought to you by Ever After Holidays. We're your hosts, Mattie
and I'm Laura,
here to share magical adventures and unforgettable memories from Disney, Universal and beyond, together with our special guests.
Please note, all views and stories shared are personal to ourselves and our guests and may not reflect current park or destination operations.
So sit back, relax and let's begin today's adventure. Hello everybody and welcome to episode 5 of the Ever After cast. How are you, Laura?
5. I'm very good. How are you?
Very well.
Can't believe we're on episode 5 already.
I know, and hopefully lots more to come.
Yes, yeah.
But today's episode is a very special one. It is just me and Laura today. But that's fine because we are going to talk about one of our favourite things, and that is Disney Cruise Line.
Yes.
So if those of you out there don't know what Disney Cruise Line is, because many people don't, it's basically Disney's own cruise line. So they have their own cruise ships and they sail various itineraries around the world. We're going to be talking about all of that in this episode. We're going to be talking about our personal experiences with Disney Cruise Line as well, useful tips for when you're booking a Disney cruise, and basically everything. And I'm sure by the end of this episode, Laura, everyone's going to be
wanting to do. Yeah, we love them. I've only you're quite an old school. You've been cruising for a long time. I'm very recent to Disney cruises, but I'm absolutely fallen in love with them, and they're a great either addition to your holiday or a great holiday just in general.
On their own,
on their own.
Exactly.
Absolutely amazing.
So Laura, when did you first experience a Disney cruise?
So mine was a bit of a funny one. So I count this as my first cruise because it was, but I have also have a second. My second cruise was the better of the two, and I've done 3 altogether. Was when back in 2021, so kind of at the end of the pandemic. Obviously everything's a bit funny with restrictions, and Disney offered UK sailings as a part of the Magic at Sea. And there was one going from Liverpool, which is near to where I live, and me and my friend decided let's do it because we might never do a Disney cruise. We'd never looked into it before doing it from Florida or anything, and they were offering them to do for the 3 days. Don't get off, you just stay around like the Irish Sea. And yeah, we decided to do that back in like July 2021.
I think because we
just missed each other.
We just missed each
because we didn't know each other then. That was about 4 years ago, and yeah, so that was the first experience. Now it was obviously a funny time in general for everybody. Very restricted, so they cut back a lot of. We didn't really know because we'd only done that one first experience. It was on the Magic. Obviously, it was beautiful. But personally, I unfortunately got very seasick. I think it was seasickness anyway, and I was pretty much wiped out for 2 days. From like the second dine-in, it just hit me, and I don't know whether that was because I wasn't used to going on a boat or not. I don't know really, because since then I've been absolutely fine. But yeah, I lost pretty much 2 days of that trip. So to me, that wasn't really the best.
Consider it your
no,
first
and as I left, I was like, oh, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know. I think I've done it.
Magic at Sea, there was a lot of restrictions because of the time. You know, the experiences were different. Because I remember the character, we had to wear masks.
Yeah.
But I do remember because we did a back-to-back on that, and the first sailing we had to wear masks inside the ship. The second sailing we didn't have to. So on the back-to-back. But I remember that with the restrictions, it wasn't, I knew it wasn't the normal sort of Disney cruise experience because I've done it previously, but the character meet and greets were like socially distanced. It was very
at the time
different.
that we want anything from Disney, or to go on a Disney, any sort of holiday, we loved it.
Grateful,
it was grateful, But yeah, then since then, so it was a few years later, and actually this year I've done 2 Disney cruises, so it was a very full Disney cruise year this year, and I travelled on the Fantasy with my family in May. So we went from Barcelona and we did a Mediterranean cruise, so mainly Italy, and that was amazing. That was a completely different, 7 nights, everything was up and running, so it's full ability.
So that would you consider that one to be your first official Disney cruise?
It felt like the first time going on it again. Again, it was a different ship. It was a completely different experience. It was my family's first ever cruise. Like, my parents aren't cruise kind of couple. Like, they've never done cruises. And I think a lot of people think cruises are for like older generation, which they can be.
There is that stigma.
I think even like me ever looking into them, it's like, oh, we'll do them. And some people might wait and do them a little bit later on in life, but I feel like now there's definitely more companies that do. They're like either party ships or the Disney on Magic on Sea and that kind of thing. But yeah, that I consider that one
to be your first.
Yeah, my first proper experience. And then since I had another one booked. I've literally just come off one as well, off the currently the newest ship, which is the Treasure, and that was again another elevated experience of Disney cruise.
Fantastic. So just so everybody's aware as well, while we might say words like magic, treasure, wish, just to make you all aware. Currently in the Disney Cruise Line fleet, and I'm going to do it in order of when they actually came out, because Disney Cruise Line has been operating since 1998. Did you know?
Yeah. I forgot the year. Yeah, that's wild then.
1998. So just a little fact as well. Before Disney Cruise Line actually launched, there was something called the Little Red Boat or Big Red Boat, either one of the two. And what they used to do is they used to license the IP with Disney, and that was sort of like the tester for Disney Cruise Line, and it was successful, and then that's when Disney then decided to bring out their own.
I can't imagine a world without Disney Cruise Lines, even though I never did them till recently. They've always been there, haven't they?
I didn't actually know they existed myself until, gosh, it must have been like the early mid-2000s, but with regards to all the ships, so if you ever hear us say words like Wish, Treasure, Wonder, the Disney Magic was the first ship, then you've got the sister ship, the Disney Wonder, then it was the Disney Dream, then the Disney Fantasy, then you've got the Disney Wish, then the Disney Treasure, then we've got coming out the Disney Destiny, then we've got coming out the Disney Adventure, and there's going to be more ships beyond that. By 2031 or 2030, I think it is, there's going to be 13 ships in the Disney Cruise Line fleet. Exciting. But if you ever hear us in this episode say words like Wonder, Wish, Treasure, Magic, we're referring to the ships.
Yeah, and they're all different sizes. They're all different like categories. You'll have a Magic category, Wish fleet, or that kind of thing.
You've got it's the Magic class, which is the Magic and the Wonder. Then you've got the Dream class, which is Dream and Fantasy, and then you've got the Wish class, which is the Wish, Treasure, and Destiny.
Yeah.
And then beyond that, we don't know. I think it might be called the Trident class, but we'll see.
Oh, okay. Put it out there.
But my first Disney Cruise Line experience was back in 2012, I think it was. It was on the Disney Dream. That's actually the Disney Fantasy launched in 2012, so the Dream was only about a year old. I'll be honest with you, I'd never been on one before. I wasn't quite sure. I was obviously used to Walt Disney World. I've never been on a cruise ship before, so I've only been on like North Sea ferries.
Same, I've been on the Holyhead ferry across to Ireland, that's about it.
I was thinking, oh gosh, is it going to be like North Sea ferries or something like that? And I've never actually seen a cruise ship, because when I've been in Florida or wherever, I've never actually gone over to see the cruise ships or anything. There's no cruise ships in Hull. So, you know. But the first cruise ship we did was the Disney Dream. And I remember when we got on it, we were just completely amazed as soon as we got on the ship, you know, when they announce you when you get on, and you know, the beautiful atrium, the service on board, Mickey or Captain Minnie greeting you there. The first Disney cruise just blew me away, and it was only a 3-night cruise. So I won't go into too much detail, because we are going to talk about like our favourite itineraries and things in this episode, but I will say, after our first Disney cruise, that 3-night one, and we'd stayed at Disney World, and then we were doing the cruise. When we got off the ship, we were crying. And we wished we'd have booked a longer itinerary. And as soon as I got home, I booked a 14-night transatlantic sailing. Because 3 nights was not enough, I needed 2 weeks.
I know, that's literally, I mean, it's good that some people, 3 nights might be enough. They do a lot of 3-4 nights. The ones from like Port Canaveral, you can get 7 nights as well. But because it could become quite a long holiday. A lot of people only have 2 weeks annual leave, that kind of thing. So it is a good,
and it's a good way to taste it as well. But like how like obviously before your first Disney cruise, I think maybe it probably might be best to use your fantasy sailing, your Mediterranean one, rather than Magic at Sea. But what was the anticipation like for you before going on that sailing? Because you've previously done Magic at Sea, which was sort of like during COVID times. how did you feel? Was you...
We were, and again, well, thinking back to my family, we've been going to, if you've watched our previous podcast, me and my family have been going to Walt Disney World since 1992. We go to Disney World nearly every single year. My parents were never really, they were recently done Paris, my parents and my sister and her family. So it was always Walt Disney World. My dad likes that standard of service, that kind of American kind of service. He likes that kind of thing when he goes on holiday. And obviously the Disney magic and that was really important. And when we were looking at the itinerary, and to be fair, I'll probably go into this in a little bit later, there was a lot of ports, very interesting ports, so like Rome you can go to, Pompeii, like really cool places. So we did go off on a lot of excursions, but I think what going on, I was a bit kind of like, is there enough to do on the ship? Because again, we hardly did anything on that magic sailing, so I was like, is there going to be enough for the kids? Because I travelled with my niece who was 2. She was 1 then, she's 2 now. My nephew was 5 at the time. And we were like, is there enough to do for them? Is there enough for all of us? My partner had never been on a cruise before. Like, is he going to find it, interesting enough? So it was that anticipation of, do we stay on the ship a lot? Do we go off the ship? Are we going to be bored? You're not sure kind of what, is it all going to be? I think my mum thought it might be all just sunbathing, pool, and like entertainers kind of thing, and my mum's really not. I don't know how I'm her child, because I love all that sort of stuff, shows, theatre and everything. She can't stand any kind of like at Disney, she doesn't mind it because she likes the films, but any kind of entertainment and all that, come on everybody, join in, didn't like any of that.
Audience participation.
Yes, which you do get a little bit of that at Disney, but it's done so well.
Disney are really good at like not forcing people to participate.
Yes, yeah.
Because I'll be honest, sometimes I want to and sometimes I don't want to.
Yeah.
They are good at that.
But if you've got little kids that love that sort of thing, who love those shows and dancing and with the characters, or with that kind of holiday rep almost, like the cast members, like the entertainment team, that they are a particular team, you can do that if that's your sort of thing. But if you really don't, you can go to places on a cruise where you don't even see any of that. No. You could be completely out of that. And we'll go into a little bit more about the kids clubs and stuff, because I know when I got back, a lot of people were asking me what is it to do for kids and how they define the kids club, so we can talk about that. But yeah, it was more just like, is there enough on the ship? Is 7 nights going to be too long? I knew I was going to like it. Didn't realise how much I was going to like it, but I was a bit nervous about with my family, because they really weren't into cruises. Any kind of holiday that's not in a theme park or in Florida, it was a bit like, what do we do with my family? But yeah, as a family, absolutely loved it. My dad, literally, since he's got back, all he keeps doing is, can you price up this cruise? What about this cruise? He's constantly on Disney Cruise Line and asking me, obviously, and looking in work. He wants to do a 14 like you did. You got back. He was like,
straight in there.
Yeah, he was like, I want to do 40. 7 nights wasn't enough.
Well, yeah, I mean, as well, like a lot of people sometimes look at Disney Cruise Line itineraries and, they want more port days than sea days, but I'll be honest with you, I prefer the sea days. So for me, a transatlantic sailing is perfect because I want to spend more time on the ship. But with regards to like the anticipation compared to being in a Disney park and that going on the first one, for me, obviously my first Disney cruise experience was a true Disney Cruise Line experience. It wasn't during COVID or anything, it was a long time ago. And for me, like I've already said, I was just more anxious about, is it going to be like a ferry, or like, I didn't have a clue what's my stateroom going to be like. Is it going to be tiny? What the show's going to be like? All of these things were running through my, but like I said, I don't need to say anymore. I booked another one as soon as I got back, and it was a 14-night transatlantic.
You could think you'd go on there, you literally sat in a lounge not doing anything, and there's maybe a cinema and maybe the restaurants, and that would be it. Like, if you'd been on a ferry or something, but I think it's literally just that. Exactly.
But with regards to the cruises, so obviously we've both done Disney cruises. We've both, done different itineraries to each other. I mean, to be honest with you, the 2 recent itineraries you've done, I haven't done. Yeah. But let's talk about the ships. So our favourite ships that we've sailed on. So, which ships have you sailed on?
I've done Magic, Fantasy and Treasure.
And do you have a favourite out of the 3?
I'm gonna have to. It's really hard. I'm gonna say the Treasure, because you've done the other ones. You are going to do the Treasure soon. I love the Fantasy though. I really did. I mean, I'm not compared that to like to the Dream and everything, but yeah, I'm gonna say the Treasure. Yeah. It didn't feel like going from Fantasy. I did literally Fantasy in May this year. I've done the Treasure now in September. So there's not much in time between. And it didn't feel like, oh, the fantasy is absolutely rubbish compared to the treasure. It was nothing like that. They felt very same. I mean, to me, it's the cast members that make it on the cruise anyway.
Oh,
but
God, yeah.
it didn't feel like a big jump, but the treasure, again, because it's a little bit of a bigger ship, the decoration and the Imagineering and the detail, just the detail of those ships are absolutely stunning.
You know, there's hidden secrets absolutely everywhere in all of the ships.
It felt just elevated. You felt like it just felt rich, both in like the colours and like the details.
Sensory overload.
Yeah, a little bit, but just very classy, and it brought a bit more IP to it. I feel like.
Yeah.
I feel like the fantasy, you've got like the bars are very like, they're not themed over like a character
like an IP,
or an IP or a ride, whereas the treasure, you've got Haunted Mansion Parlour, you've got the Scat Cat Club, you've got the Skipper Society, so I liked that because that's to do with the rides and the theme parks. So it felt even more like the theme parks but on a boat, on a ship, which I loved. You still get that feeling of the Walt Disney World experience, I feel, but it's just
on a ship.
Yeah, and I mean, again, I'll probably say this a few times, but you feel like a VIP, no matter what level of, even if you're doing concierge or you're doing an inside stay, you feel like you are.
The cast members do absolutely make it. They work so hard on those.
You feel
ships.
like you're at home, but you're a VIP.
Everybody's always smiling and says hello when you're passing them. How are you?
Yeah,
and, you know, even like your stateroom host, and you know, you become so. I mean,
I cry when I leave my service. I cry. I absolutely love that, because I mean I've been a server myself at the parks and things like that, and I know how hard they work so hard, but they make you, even though they're serving probably about 10 other tables, I don't even know, they literally make you feel like you're the only person in the room.
And remember your names as well.
Yeah.
How you want your food.
Yeah, I remember all my service. I've only been 3 cruises, but they have been, you know, years apart. I remember all my service names. I didn't write them down, but I remember them.
Yeah.
And that says something if you remember somebody's name.
Oh yeah, definitely. But with regards to the favourite ships then, so you're going to say the treasure.
Yes, what about you?
So I have sailed on the Magic, I've sailed on the Dream, the Fantasy, the Wish and the Wonder. I'm due to sail on the Treasure, like you are. I did my online check-in yesterday for that.
Yeah.
I'm also booked on the maiden voyage of the Disney Destiny in November, and the maiden voyage of the Disney Adventure.
Yes, very jealous.
So I will have been on all of them by March next year when the Adventure launches, but I'm going to try and keep that. I'm going to try and do the maiden voyage of everyone after that.
Yes.
But I've just come back from the Fantasy and the Wonder, but I've got to say hands down, I mean, I'm classic Disney Cruise Line, I prefer the smaller ships. I don't dislike any of the other ships, I love them all, they're all fantastic in their own way, but for me, I prefer the smaller ships because I feel like you've got more of an intimate environment. You see more of the same cast members out and about around the ship, the same guests, and I feel like you become a bit more like a family. And the Disney Wonder, it was the first time I've been on it. I've been wanting to go on it for years, mainly because obviously I want to do them all, and secondly because Ariel is the statue icon in the atrium. But the Disney Wonder is 100% my favourite, and that was an Alaskan sailing. But I'll go on to the itineraries later. But the Disney Wonder for me, again, like the Magic, it's really small and it's not a small ship. Don't get me wrong, but compared to the others, it's small. It's easy to get around. It's really easy to find your way around the ship. I love how everything's located around there. I love the theming on that ship as well. Like I know you were saying, like on the Treasure, they've got IP. So on the Magic and the Wonder, when they first launched, a lot of the theming wasn't to IP, but when they've been going into dry dock, they've been updating the ships and things, because those ships are nearly 30 years old now. And the Wonder has Tiana's Place, a restaurant. That looked fun. And literally next to that, what used to be, I think it used to be called the Promenade Lounge or something, it's now themed to Princess and the Frog and Dr. Facilier. Wow. And they've got, it's like New Orleans themed, and one of the seating areas looks like one of the tram trolleys you'd find in New Orleans. Oh, wow. So it's just perfect for like having a pre-dinner drink there and then moving into Tiana's, and the entertainment in Tiana's was fantastic. I also like, I mean the Magic's one of my favourites as well, but the Wonder, as much as I love the Magic, and it's the original and the first one, for me, the IP used on the Wonder is more to my taste. So like Tiana, I love Princess and the Frog, Little Mermaid. Like the main restaurant in the atrium is called Triton's, so it's themed to the Little Mermaid. And then Animator's Palette as well. So the Animator's Palette, we'll go more into the restaurants, but the Animator's Palette on the Wonder and the Magic is my favourite out of any of the Animator's Palette
Is it the
restaurants.
black and white the seats as well?
It's the black and white one that turns to colour.
Yes.
So that one's my favourite. And yeah, and even the adult-only area, the bars on the Magic and the Wonder are themed differently. So say the piano lounge on the Wonder is called the Cadillac Lounge, and then on the Magic it's called Keys. And then on the Magic, the nightclub area is called Fathoms, and on the Wonder it was called Azure. I preferred the theming in Azure to Fathoms. And then on in the pubs that they've got, the Magic, it was O'Gill's, and then it's I think it's called the Rose and Crown, I think it is, or something. I can't remember the name. I didn't spend much time in the pub.
They've got O'Gill's on Fantasy and
Fantasy
Dream.
O'Gill's.
They've got Dream.
The Dream. I can't remember if it's a British, in English. I think it's an English one on the. I can't remember. I don't spend much time in the pubs. It's the piano lounges I like and the game shows in the nightclubs. But you are right, like, not only was it just the ship that I liked, the Wonder, but we're talking about the cast members. The cast members on the Wonder, they were all fantastic in all the ships, but I will be honest with you, the Wonder cast members are probably some of the best cast members that I've ever had on a Disney cruise ship. The entertainment team were absolutely fantastic. So they're probably not listening, but if Maddie and Matt are listening, those guys were amazing. I loved our dinner hosts on the Wonder. They were so sweet, and even on the last night, like, they did a little dance with me, and they were quite happy to dance for some videos as well. They were they really make the cruise. But that was an Alaskan cruise, which then brings me to the next topic of conversation, which is bucket list itineraries and the types of itineraries that Disney Cruise Line done. So if you could just tell us obviously your fantasy one was Mediterranean from Barcelona.
Yeah, so we did Barcelona to Sicily, so it's Palermo, which you could walk off into port and have a look around the city, and then you went across to Naples, which would get you to Pompeii. So these are all like port adventures that you can obviously add on. We can talk about that as well, what you can do extra on top of like booking the cruise. And then we went up to, I can never say the name, but let's just say it's about an hour away from Rome. I'm not going to butcher the name.
Does it begin with C?
Yes.
I don't want to butcher the name.
No, I know. I really had it.
Or something
yes,
like that.
Sitchaventure or so. Yeah, sorry. But anyway, that gets you to that's the closest to Rome. And then it went up to Pisa. So Florence and Pisa. So that was Livorno, I think. That's the port it was in. And then you had a couple of days at sea either side, like the last day at sea as well. Amazing itinerary. I mean, we did pretty much all of the port adventures there, and I think I kind of go back into with like, I wish I hadn't done them because they were quite, it took up a lot of the day.
Yeah, and I wanted to be on the ship.
More, but then I'm also like, I'm glad I did as well, because I feel, because I would have been sat on the ship going, I could have gone to Rome today. So it's a bit of
they're iconic. Those port calls are iconic.
Yeah. I mean, seeing Pompeii, Pisa, and Rome within 3 days, like, all in one.
To go to Pompeii.
Yeah, it was really good. Did I tell you my Pompeii tour guide? She was actually on the Treasure. She checked the availability for Paolo brunch for us. She was
really?
on. I reckon that. Yeah, I got to that anyway. That's a side thing. But I was like, I know you. She was our tour guide for Pompeii. Anyway, so yeah, and then the Treasure that I've just come back on. So that was a Western Caribbean. So they do an Eastern Caribbean, they do a Western, and I think there's a Treasure stay in that next year as well. Yeah. So that went from Port Canaveral, which I loved. I've never done that before, but that is, obviously the Disney terminal is just like so well organised and set up like for the ships. We got a Disney transfer to there. It was really easy from the hotel, and that was, I'm trying to think of the itinerary now. So it was a day at sea. Then we did Cozumel, Mexico, Grand Cayman, Georgetown. And then
you go to Jamaica as well.
Jamaica's the next day. Then you do a day at sea, and then you did Castaway Cay. So that really confused me, because usually day at sea is the last day, isn't it? So yeah, Castaway Cay, which is Disney's privately owned island. We'll talk about that a little bit as well. And yeah, day at sea, and then back to Port Canaveral. And to be honest, that itinerary, we spent pretty much all the time on the ship.
Yeah.
Except for Castaway Cay.
And it's a big ship.
It's a big ship, brand new ship, and I feel like I did most of it, but there was still so much to do. Didn't go like the cinema, there's little things we just didn't do a lot of.
Which means you need to book another trip on it.
Yeah, absolutely. But I did notice that the actual onboard activities were a lot different to the Fantasy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like, I don't know whether it was the type of sailing, the type of kind of client. I don't know. The clientele felt very similar on both sailings. It wasn't like family on one and adults on the other. It was very mix of both of them. But I feel like the Fantasy had so many more activities, like lots of quizzes everywhere. Now, whether it's just I don't know.
Maybe it's something to do with, because obviously for Europeans, Disney Cruise is quite new. Mm-hmm. So people generally want to spend more time on the ship, whereas over in America, the Americans they're quite used to Disney Cruise Lines, so they probably they will get off on a port of call, so they don't feel the need to put on as much activities for guests. I don't know how it works.
Yeah, it just things down to like there was one day that had like napkin folding activity, drawing. They did have the like drawing characters on the ship, but there seemed to be a lot more every day on the Fantasy. On the Treasure, it was a little bit more. But what I noticed, and I think I said to this the other day, the Treasure do more shows. So like they have these two characters called Sage and Coriander, and they're like the explorer kind of team that kind of take you on a journey of your whole trip. So they'll do a show at the beginning and say we're going to go on an adventure, we're finding the treasure, and they'll do they did a little performance of Aladdin. They act out the whole of Aladdin, they act out the whole of Indiana Jones.
That's on the stage in the Grand Hall, isn't it?
They do it in the Grand Hall. They also do something in Sarabi as well, which is kind of their central big kind of
a bit like the D Lounge.
Yeah, so lots of seating, like on a double level, which they can do quizzes in and karaoke and all that sort of stuff. And they did a performance there, and then they kind of they end the ship story as well, like before you go off, like the last day. So I don't know if there was more shows like entertainment and things like that throughout the day that covered a lot of people doing things. They didn't need all those other little activities. I don't know, but it was there's still plenty to do. Yeah. Honestly, you think not going to have it.
You can never get everything done. I mean, with regards to like itineraries and things, the cruises I've done, I've done a few Disney cruises, Bahamas, transatlantic, Alaska. What else have we done? Most of them have been like Caribbean based, but we have done three, I think, transatlantic cruises, which I just love because, like I say, I like the sea days. Alaska was just fantastic.
Transatlantic, though, what have you done? Where do they go to? Where have you gone from? Have you done both ways, or? No,
we've only ever done westbound, and the only reason we've done that is I don't personally fancy, and this is going to sound absolutely ridiculous, but the eastbound transatlantic. So basically, eastbound is from the States to Europe.
Yeah.
And if you do the eastbound, you lose hours every few nights. Okay, whereas if you go on a westbound, you gain hours every few nights. Okay. So in my head, I'm thinking that's more Disney time if I do a westbound because I'm getting more time. It sounds really silly. I'm probably gaining about.
We gained 1 hour when we went to Mexico. We were like, yes, like we've got another hour.
Extra hour on the ship. So that's why I prefer it.
That makes sense. Yeah. And, so you go Southampton to.
No, so they've not always done that. So the first couple of transatlantic cruises we did were from Barcelona, and the first one we did went to Miami, and then the second transatlantic we did was Barcelona again, but that went to New York, and then the last transatlantic we did, which was in 2017 I think it was, might have been even sooner than that, maybe.
You've done
18.
One since I've known you,
Have I?
I'm pretty sure you have.
Well, I know that one of them was Southampton to New York, but I just love, and you know what? People always say, with the transatlantics, what's it like sailing across, I'll be honest with you, like a mill pond. It's like, we have never had bad weather on a transatlantic sailing. It's like a mill pond. The only time we slightly had some bad weather, but it wasn't horrendous, was when we were on the last transatlantic going into New York. We were supposed to stop in Nova Scotia, Canada, and there was a hurricane in the Atlantic Ocean, so we had to speed up and get to New York a day early, which was lovely because we got to spend an extra day in New York and get back on the ship. But It was a bit rocky, but I mean, it doesn't bother me.
They're very cautious, Disney Cruise Line, and ahead of time. I've seen recently a few itineraries changed and things, and it is just the way it is. You have to be aware of that before you book it, and know they can. But it's all for safety reasons. Obviously, it's the weather. You can't control the weather.
Exactly, Disney can't control the weather, and a perfect example of that is I went on the Norwegian Fjords cruise with Disney a few weeks ago. That was from Southampton. And we didn't leave port, we're supposed to leave port at 4, but we didn't leave until 10 at night. But we couldn't go up the North Sea, we had to go down into the Channel because the weather was that bad. And we actually missed a day in the Norwegian fjords. Now, I know that's disappointing, but at the end of the day, the safety of the crew and the guests is most important. We still had a fantastic time. And so after that Fjords one, obviously we did the Western Europe, which was Bilbao, I think it's called, in Spain, La Rochelle, and the weather was just completely different. But like I said, Disney Cruise Line, they can't control the weather. Guest safety and cast member safety is most important. But speaking about the itineraries and things as well, and what you can do, you can incorporate a Disney cruise into any type of holiday. Like, you know, when I went to Alaska, I stayed in Vancouver, and you could go over to Banff for something. You can do whatever you want. You know, going over to Barcelona to meet one of the Disney ships. You can stay in Barcelona. You can do absolutely anything.
Yeah, make it a city break and then do the cruise to Barcelona. It was really easy to get. It's about 20 minutes in a taxi to get to the port. And the port's really good. Obviously, lots of cruises go from there. Yeah, we loved it. We'd never been to Barcelona before as a family, and there was 8 of us all together. We navigated around. It was, it was very doable, and because a lot of them go from Barcelona, don't they? Some of them sometimes go from Rome.
They do some Greek cruises as
Greek
well.
Ones, yeah.
And then next summer, the Disney Dream's back in Europe, and there's going to be 6 sailings on the Disney Dream from Southampton.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to do a Disney cruise and try it out,
it's really
do it from Southampton, from your doorstep. Don't need to fly anywhere to do it. You know, and that's great as well. You know, if you're frightened of flying and you want to experience a Disney cruise, the UK Disney sailings are fantastic for that. So next year there's like 6 sailings.
And sometimes you might be looking at going to, because maybe you don't fancy that big flight across with kids or something. You know, for any reason. You know, people have different reasons. And you may be looking at Paris, but you've done Paris before, and you want something different, and you want that Disney
differently.
But you want that Disney experience. Honestly, look into the cruises, because we priced up Paris for a family of 8 and looked at a cruise for 7 nights, and actually it wasn't that different.
Exactly, and it is a different experience.
And it's completely.
But then, when moving back to America, incorporating your cruise into your Orlando holiday. So obviously, Disney Cruise Line sail from 2 ports in Florida. So you've got Port Canaveral and Fort Lauderdale. Now, Port Canaveral is about an hour away. If you're staying at a Disney Resort hotel, you can add on the transfers to take you to and from Disney Resort.
Perfect. Worked really well.
I've only ever done that once, but it was years ago. But we are doing it for the treasure. Fort Lauderdale is where the Disney Destiny is going to be based. And last year I did actually go to Fort Lauderdale for the first time because I wanted to see how far away it was, you know, getting there, what it was like. And they've actually got their own terminal like the one at Port Canaveral in Fort Lauderdale. So it's all Disney themed still and everything. And it was really easy. I mean, Port Canaveral is like an hour away from Walt Disney World. Fort Lauderdale was it was a 3-hour drive.
It's more near Miami, isn't it?
Yeah, it's more like Miami. It was a 3-hour drive because I did drive and then I parked there, but I think it was like $20 a day parking. It wasn't overly priced to park the car, but you can get the Bright Line down to Fort Lauderdale as well if you want to use the Bright Line train. Or you could get an Uber, but it's going to be incredibly expensive to get an Uber all the way down there. But driving there, you know, even if you hired the car just for the duration of the duration of the cruise, and then, you know, parked it there or dropped it off and then re-picked it up. I just usually hire the car for the duration of the cruise if I'm going to go from Fort Lauderdale, and then I will park it because, like I said, it's relatively inexpensive. But 3 hours drive, it's one road all the way down there. And their service stations are so much easier to get to than ours because it's like the road sort of breaks like into a circle as such, and the service station's in the middle. So rather than having on either side of the road and you're having to pull off, you kind of like curves round and you pull into it, and then you just pull back out onto the motorway. So it's really easy to get to, and like I say, it's a nice terminal. And you could even like stay over.
I was going to say, yeah, you could do. A lot of people do, but can they stay the night before or a couple nights? Or but there's loads of hotels right by the port, isn't there?
Beautiful Fort Lauderdale as well. When we go on the Destiny next year with my family, some of my family are not coming out when we go. They're coming out just before the cruise, so they're going to stay in Fort Lauderdale overnight and meet us the next day at the ship. But yeah, if you're going from Florida, you can do...
how far is it from Miami Airport to Fort Lauderdale?
Well, Fort Lauderdale's really close to Miami
so you
Airport.
Could fly into Miami.
You could fly into Miami and then maybe out of Orlando International if you're going to go up to Orlando after that. But if you are going to do your cruise at the beginning of your holiday, I would always say you need to fly in minimum the day before.
Oh yeah.
Because if you have a flight cancellation or delay, there's a risk, you know, like 1 or 2 days before, 100%. But with regards to Fort Lauderdale, like I say, I feel like it puts people off wanting to go there because it is a bit of a further way away. But what you find, or what I find, and what we all find when we're looking for customers and for ourselves, the cruise prices tend to be cheaper from Fort Lauderdale, and I think that's to help offset the travel costs. Maybe I don't know. I don't know how Disney do the pricing, but like I say, Destiny is going to be there.
Yeah, it's very, very achievable. I've not done it yet, but I will definitely just counter that into it somehow. I can drive, but I've never drove over in America before, whether I will do eventually. But yeah, I would be looking into maybe staying there somehow, or don't know, working it out somehow.
And then we were talking about the Disney Treasure. Obviously, still next year is doing the 7-night east and westbound Caribbean cruises from Port Canaveral. So the Disney Wish is also based in Port Canaveral. I've done the Disney Wish, I haven't done the Disney Treasure. But what you were saying about the cast members who are like the characters of the ship, they had a similar thing on the Disney Wish. But obviously the Disney Wish is completely different theme to Disney Treasure. It was more like the Grand Hall is more, it's Cinderella's the icon of the ship. So it's all about Cinderella, and the chandelier looks like her dress turned upside down, and it lights up and everything. All the fibre optics in there.
They say that one is your princesses, Treasure is your adventurers and explorers, and the Destiny is your heroes and villains. That's kind of how they've like laid it out.
On the Treasure, they've got the Haunted Mansion parlour. On the Wish, it was the Hyperspace Lounge. So it was a Star Wars themed lounge area. And then like you've got the Jungle Cruise one on the Treasure. It was the Bayou, Princess and the Frog themed on the Wish, and the restaurants as well. So like I think, and it was Coco, one of them on yours, the Treasure. On the Wish, it was Arendelle, so it was Frozen. And then obviously then they've got the same. They've got the Avengers restaurant, and but on all of the Disney ships, which obviously takes us on to the next part of our...
the dining is a big
the dining is a massive thing. So Disney Cruise Line have got something that no other cruise line have done or replicated, and it's called rotational dining. And what that means is where obviously the 3 main restaurants, you rotate between them, don't you? So you get at least 1 show night in each one, but then you've also got all the other
events. So for example, I'll just briefly say my itinerary. So we had on the Treasure, you've got the Coco, Plaza de Coco, which has like a stage in the middle, so you've got beautiful music and the story of Coco being performed. You've then got the 1923, which I think is on the Wish as well. So that's going to be your classic. It feels like, again, like got displays of beautiful like Disney, all the films and the models of the like artist renditions and models, and they were both, it was split into a Walt Disney side and a Roy Disney side. We dined in the Roy Disney side, but very, very classic. And they've got them on all of the, you can see similarities in all of the restaurants across the fleets, can't you?
Reminded me a little bit of like I don't want to say classy because they're all lovely and classy, but more of like a posher version of Animator's Palette. If that makes sense.
Definitely. It still had that animation side, but felt very, very like grown up and classic, and then you've got the Marvel, yeah, which is say same on the Wish, but that's more like animators palette, so the big screens, and say lots of interactive, lots of fun. You know, you say not all the time the Marvel characters. It doesn't. They do it in certain. It works all around your food, doesn't it? So when you watch the things on the screen, and then one night we had Pirate Night. So usually, I don't know if does Pirate Night happen on 3-night sailings, 4 nights, or is it just the longer sailings?
It does happen on the short sailings as well, but not in Europe. Sorry, in Europe it does happen, but they don't do the fireworks.
Yes, yeah, we didn't see, so Fantasy we didn't see fireworks, but the Treasure we did.
But they do Pirate Night in Europe.
Yeah, it was amazing. But so Pirate Night will have a special pirate menu. It was the same menu I had on the Fantasy as I had on the Treasure. Whether they change it every year.
Same across the ship.
Same across the ship. So yeah, I knew exactly what I wanted because I loved it from the Fantasy. I was like, right, I'm having the same meal as I had last time. So that night we were in Coco. So we actually had 3 nights in Coco. We had 2 nights in 923, 2 nights at Marvel, and then you have breakfast as well on your last day, before you get off the ship. And they said to us that's usually your first rotational dining. You go back into that restaurant. Whether that changes, it can mix it up.
For us, it was our last.
Right.
I think it depends how many nights you're on the ship.
Yeah, can change around.
I mean, to be honest with you, it's always been the one we were in the night before. I don't know if they change it, but maybe it's on how many nights you're on the ship. I'm not 100% sure on that.
But it's really fun. You get to see all 3. It's really fun, and that's all included in your price.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the great thing with Disney Cruise Line. All your food's included. Your soft drinks are included from your drink stations and in the restaurants.
Yeah.
Obviously, really, the only things you need to think about paying for is alcohol if you want an alcoholic drink, the spa, you know, if you want like a popcorn from a popcorn stand.
Yeah, they do have a sweets shop as well. You can get extra
ice
cakes.
cream, I was going to say gelatoni.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What's it called?
Gelato.
Gelato, that's it, gelatoni. For those who don't know, that's a friend of Duffy who's Mickey's teddy bear.
Oh.
So it's fantastic, and you get 24-hour room service included as well.
Yeah, get on that phone and order those Mickey Premium bars at 11 o'clock at night.
Soup.
Yeah.
Or the cheese,
the pasta bolognese. Yeah.
I tried the pasta because you recommended it.
Yeah.
Just to let you all know, I was basically, when I was on the Fantasy the other week, Laura was on the Treasure. So we FaceTimed each other a couple of times, and Laura, I was talking about room service to Laura. I was like, I've had room service every night, Laura. And she was like, have you had the pen pasta bolognese on the room service? I was like, no, I haven't, but I tried it that night. Every night after that, I had that along with tomato soup every night with the tomato with the cheese toasted to dip in the tomato soup, the chicken tenders, the burgers, you name it, I'll have it on room service.
It's great.
But I always I know it's included in the price, but like the cast members work so hard bringing those heavy trays into your stateroom and that put them down for you. So I always give them some dollars to say thank you or whatever. But if you haven't got any dollars on you, you can always just add it to your room.
Yes.
Thank you.
Only a couple of dollars, like $2-3. That's depending on how much you can also do breakfast as well. Room service. There's menus in there to select, and I loved it. Also, with the additional cost is the adult dining.
Yes, adult dining. So it goes without saying that. I mean, the different ships have got different ones. So the smaller ships, the Magic and the Wonder, have only got Palo.
Okay.
Then the Dream and the Fantasy have got Remy and Palo, and then the Wish class ships, so that's the Wish and the Treasure, they've got Enchanting, and then they've got Palo as well.
Yeah.
So Enchanting is pretty much similar to Remy, but it's themed after like Beauty and the Beast. I have eaten in Remy and I have eaten in Palo. I haven't done Enchanting yet, but you've done Enchanting.
No, I didn't do it. Enchanting definitely wouldn't be my sort of thing. It's very, very. If you love fine like French dining, and I'm quite a fussy eater, so
Did you eat in Remy then?
Paolo. No, I've only done only my first time was on the Treasure. Did Paolo for the first time. So I haven't done it's very, very fine dining. So if you want that luxurious, like fine dining, like all those courses, try it. If you love different palettes.
Courses, because we've done Remy on the Dream. We did Remy, and for me it's too much. Like I'm a bit of a fussy eater, to be honest, and it basically those restaurants, so Enchanting and Remy, they have Michelin, is that the right word? They always have 2 Michelin star, or whatever you call it, class chefs. You see, you can tell I'm not a foodie. anybody when it comes to like
they're very
fine
top
dining.
chefs. Yeah,
but I think they rotate them from what they were saying every 6 months on the ships, so the menu changes as well because the chefs obviously choose the menu. But we did Remy and it was like 13 courses, and you're going to be in there for like 3 hours, and it is adult only, and you do have to pay a premium for these restaurants. And I think Remy, from the top of my head, I think the surcharge was $125 plus 18% gratuity. Wow. But Remy is like enchanting, probably it is the most expensive adult dining.
If you're celebrating something, if you really want a really nice meal, like fancy meal, look into it. But Paolo is absolutely amazing. Like we'd heard the hype. Me and my friend were like, we want to do it. Now it's hard to get a the brunch is very hard to get a reservation.
I've never been able to get brunch.
Really?
Seriously.
So, I mean, we haven't really touched into this yet about the Castaway Cay club levels, but depending on how many cruises you've done, you become a different level of club level. And if you're kind of a higher club level of Castaway Cay, then you get ahead of time, you can book things, can't you? So you get a few days before.
This is what I mean, like with Castaway Cay club levels, so it's after your first cruise you become silver, then after 5 you become gold, then after 10 you become platinum, and after 25 it's pearl. So I'm platinum, so I can book things early, and even I can't get brunch most of the time. So, it disappears so quickly.
I mean, we were sat next to a lovely couple who they'd managed to get it, but they went straight to not even guest services, because we did this. We went straight to guest services. They then made us said to us, go to Triton Lounge, I think it was, basically somewhere where they were to speak to the head servers, and then put yourself on a wait list. We didn't do that straight away. The couple we spoke to did, and they did get brunch. But we booked Paolo. It's weird, the system. Obviously, you do this all on the app, and we could again talk about that. Ahead of time, booking the dine-in for Paolo, and we booked it kind of one table for one at the same time, and we just did it because we panicked. We were like, we need something in there, and then we'll go and speak to guest services when we get there. So my friend did, and she ended up moving it to the formal night, actually. So again, there's different nights on this cruise ship. There's so much to talk about with Disney Cruise, but don't worry about formal night. So we actually had it on that night. So it meant we missed one of the nights at 1923, but we were fine. We knew we wanted to see Coco. We knew we wanted to see Marvel. So we were happy to sacrifice 1923 for Paolo. And again, we've heard the hype. Everyone's like, it's amazing, it's amazing. Brunch is really hard to get into. We'll do that eventually. But we had our evening meal, so at 7 p.m. had a drink in the Rose, which is the bar before you get into those restaurants. And honestly, it just blew me away. Like I'm not a lover of obviously I like steaks and stuff. I'm not like I need to have the steak and I need to know that. Like I'm very kind of simple food. But this was, and again, I don't know if the Wish and the Treasure, but it's the only kind of, they all do steak, but I think the Wish class ships are like steak houses, so they can do more of the cuts of steak and things. That's what our server was saying. But a lovely server called Corinne. She was from France, and she was absolutely amazing. And I think I cried when I first bite of that steak. I cried.
Paolo is so amazing. And if you once you get to platinum Castaway Cay status, you do get one per cruise dining reservation for free. So obviously I don't pay for it anymore. But if you are paying for it, it's only a $45 per person surcharge to eat in Paolo.
So that's a set menu, isn't it? Prefix. Sorry, we didn't do that. We did a la carte. I think that's the word.
You pick and you pay.
And I think it was maybe £100 per person, maybe, because we got a starter each. We got the steak. We got 2 sides that we shared. We got these like mac and cheese and the potatoes, and then we got a dessert each, the souffle. The souffle is legendary.
You had the vanilla one.
I had the almond one. So it was almond and chocolate, and we shared. They are quite big, so you can definitely share between 2 if you want to try a bit of both, but you have to get the souffle. And I think it was we had drinks as well, and I think it was about 100. Well, definitely was worth it.
The prefix at $45 per head, it's really good value.
That's amazing value.
We always go with a prefix. We've never ever done anything other, and I know what I want on the menu. It's the same every time we go to the prefix menu. I always have the Capri salad. Then you always get like this thing at the beginning. I don't know what they call it. Was it mange bouche or something like that?
Mouche bouche
or something like that.
Chefs are going to listen to this going, you two are terrible.
Well, I'm not a foodie, but I know what I have every time. So they give that to start. Then I have
it was like mushroom ravioli. I had a mushroom ravioli thing when we went.
But it's like a mushroom sauce with like a cheese thing in a tiny little pot. So you have that to start, and it cleanses your palate, I think. And then I always have the Capri salad. Then I have the steak,
Which steak though? Tenderloin.
It's the tenderloin.
8-ounce tenderloin.
Beef tenderloin.
That's what I had.
And I always have the other salad you get with the prefix.
Right.
I can't remember what they call that one, but I know it to point at it. Have that on the side with my steak, and then I always have the chocolate souffle. Always finish with that. But the chocolate souffle is legendary.
Yes.
But every single time I go in Palo, that's it. That's all I'm having.
Yeah. My server said, Korean said to us, she was like, if I don't serve the souffle, it's weird. She was like, I've never done a sailing, and she'd launched the Wish, and she was going on to the Destiny, and she'd worked with Disney Cruise Line for a long time. So yeah, she had lots of facts about Paolo, and it's brilliant. Like if you're with if you're a family, and if you fancied a date night, the kids clubs are there. If you're happy, if your kids are happy to go in the kids clubs, and you want a little bit of...
Because the kids clubs are open sometimes later than the adult lounges.
And I know my nephew, he was like, I want to stay in the kids clubs. He didn't want to go out with them. So depending on your children, obviously, and everything, but because children can't go in Paolo, it is adults only. But take a bit of time. We were in there about 2 hours, which we took our time. We don't like to be rushed, like eating and things. You could be a bit quicker if you know.
That's another thing. Like the difference, like when we go in, we'll be in there for like an hour.
You dine differently.
We know what we want.
Yeah,
we're quick. I'm not a foodie. I get agitated. I need to go do something.
Yeah, everyone's different, but they'll cater to that. If you sit down, especially your rotational dining as well, your dining host will say to you, "How's every single night? How are we doing? How is the speed? What can we do?" And actually we said we prefer a little bit of a slower. We were in the last ones in every single night in the restaurant. They were all like redoing the tables, and we were just chatting to our server. And but we said, "No, can we slow it down a bit?" And they catered to it instantly.
They do.
But we say 2 hours. If you can take an hour, 2 hours away from the kids, have a date night in Paolo. It's worth it. You will just feel so relaxed, and you're always sat kind of the views out the window. It's all the kind of high windows, and it's just beautiful.
Different views in the Palo restaurant.
But it's always high up, isn't it? It's always on about deck 12 or something.
Always on one of the higher decks. But just going back on what you were saying about when the people that you met, and they'd gone down to see the restaurant managers to get on the reservation list for Palo brunch. So what we normally do is, and this is for no other reason than into how we dine, but we always, when we first get on the ship, go down to see them as well, because we like to make sure that we've got a table for just the two of us. And there's no other reason for that than because we're quick eaters. Like you were saying, you'll ask them to slow down. For us, we don't want to be slow. We want to eat our food and go.
That's good to point out. You could be, if you're a smaller group, you could be sat with other people. Now I rang Disney Cruise and I requested, could we have a table for two? And our table, we were actually on a 4-top, but every single restaurant we were just two. We were quite close to another couple, and they were chatting to us, and that was absolutely fine. But if you're on that table, like you said, you could be waiting on other people, or they could be waiting on you. So it's worth. Also, it's not guaranteed, but it's not
a guarantee. And we have shared before, and it's been fine when the ship's been completely like 100% booked up. But like even recently on the Wonder, when we was in Alaska, we had the table for 2 hours. We did what we did. We had to change our dining times. We like early. We had to change. Talk
about the dining times. We've not said that really. So just explain. There's two dining times.
Two dining times. Now it changes depending on what itinerary you're on. It can be different. So we've had early dining can be like 6 o'clock or 6:15 or 6:45. Late dining is
8.
So like 8, 8:15 or 7:45. But if you're doing say early dining, you'll see the late show, and if you're doing late dining, you'll see the early show in the Walt Disney Theatre.
Show
in the theatre, like the Broadway style shows. But we what was I saying?
You change your dining, so you had to change it.
We had to change our dining, so we didn't have a problem with that, just to have the table for 2 of us. But on that Alaskan sailing, on the first night, as soon as we sat down, the couple on the table next to us, we got started chatting with them, and that was it every night. And at the end of the holiday, we were like, you've made our holiday, and we had it on the Fantasy last week as well. There was a lovely mum and her mum with their children and grandchildren, and they were sat next to us, spoke to them every night. We gave a gift for the little girls on the last night of the cruise, and
you do. It's lovely. People will start talking to you, or you'll talk to them, and you do make kind of every night. Where are our friends? And we asked where are you? And then the last breakfast, we said, I know they'd got brunch, so I said to the guy, they were an American couple. Oh, how was brunch? And he was like, did you manage to get one? I was like, no. And he went, oh, it was terrible. It was terrible. I like pretend, and he was like, no, actually, it was absolutely amazing. But it's just it's lovely. Like, even if you're sat close, you don't feel like you're cramped in either.
No,
It's a big restaurant. It's a lot of tables, but everything's working. Everything's in an order and a system. So don't worry, because we had a few times on the Treasure, we were taken to our table. It wasn't the right table. Then we were moved a couple of times, especially in the Coco restaurant. I found we were moved a couple of times, but it's fine. You just get there and you just go.
Yeah,
where am I sitting?
Really
they're so quick and they get you sorted instantly.
Onto the like the table for two thing and speaking to people next year. That still works for us because it means that we can eat at our own speed and then just say, well, we hope you have a lovely evening, we'll see you tomorrow. Yeah. And that really works for us. Yeah. So that's a good tip for people, like, if you've requested a table for two at the time of booking or whatever size, go down to wherever it is that the restaurant managers are when you get on the ship. It's usually from about 1 o'clock they become available. You will have to queue because other people are going to be trying to get in brunch and things, but they'll help you as much as you can.
Yeah, because that might mean you're on the earlier dining and they might move you to accommodate to that two top. They might accommodate. But I did both the early dining on the Transatlantic because we were in a family. Now, we didn't request it, we just got that dining. It was 6:15, I think our dining was. And then I had 8:15 on the Treasure. And I did prefer, I think even coming off with my family, we were like, actually, we would have preferred the later dining. Now, again, my niece and nephew are late kind of going to bed children. Some children might go to bed at 7 or 6, you have to see it with your family and see. Most of the time, you'll find families get that earlier slot and you can kind of request that as well.
But that's where, like, the good thing with room service comes in, and we haven't even spoke about cabanas or, like, the quick service kiosks they've got around the ship.
Marceline Market that's on the Treasure.
Market on the Treasure and the Wish, and that gives you families even more options, so you don't have to go to dinner at that set time if you don't want. If your kids are tired, get room service, go to Cabana's buffet,
go to the food market at the top of on deck 11.
Exactly, because you can get things like, you can get healthy food, you can even get kebab.
Yeah, so we've not even touched on like Cabanas, Marceline Market. So explain what they are on the ship. Stop smiling.
Well, basically, sorry, we've got giggles. So Cabanas is basically like a buffet restaurant, and they've got one on it's Marceline Marketplace on the Wish and the Treasure and the Destiny. Yeah.
Huge.
Which is it's a similar concept, but it's basically a big buffet restaurant. But I think the main difference between Marceline Marketplace and Cabanas is much more open plan, where Marceline Marketplace feels more like rooms, like separate rooms.
It did feel very similar, except the Marceline Market they've got a little coffee shop in between. It is in little sections, so one bit, and have a look at when you're on there, look at all the details, because one bit was like a Beauty and the Beast room, and then one bit was like a Remy. They had a little Chef Remy hat.
I didn't even notice that on the Wish.
There's like little like cabinets in between each area, and they've got the little. It looks a little bit more upgraded. Marceline Market. It's a bit more nicer kind of decor and like furniture and things. Cabanas is very like beachy and Finding Nemo, beachy, and when you get on the ship, I tend to go there because it's open, isn't it? When you get on, you're usually ready for lunch. It can be busy. Again, breakfast they do there. I dined every day. Breakfast that actually
waffles.
Yeah, we did one day. So quickly, breakfast is mainly there, the buffet. They do breakfast in one of the rotational restaurants, don't they, on the ship? So 1923 was on the Treasure, and that's more of a sit down. You get your coffee brought to you, your food brought to you, all included. It's a smaller menu, but your basic breakfast things on there. I had French toast, like a yogurt.
You can get, like, for children and things, that like you can get baked beans and things like that as well, and eggs and everything as well.
They have all sorts. They have rice.
There's so much.
Every single like culture of different people who have different breakfasts at like Cabanas and Marceline Market.
But as well with Cabanas and Marcelines, it's also open for, like I was saying, if you don't want to eat at your early or late dining time because the kids are tired or you've had a long day off the ship or whatever, you can go to Marcelines or Cabanas for your lunch and your dinner on an evening as well.
Oh, can you? It's open at dinner. I didn't know that. And say breakfast made actually had Mickey waffles, so they do have. And make sure you check with your dining hosts and your servers when this is. It's usually the last day at sea. Yeah, and it's the Mickey churro waffles, and it's, I think there and maybe one other place in Walt Disney World you can get them, but they're like a special. You'll hear people go, "When the Mickey churro waffles?"
I know this is going off Disney Cruise Line topic, but when I was in Shanghai Disneyland, they actually did them in the Disneyland Hotel.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but they weren't Mickey shaped.
Oh.
They were Minnie Mouse.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, sorry, that's
cute.
That's for another podcast.
I know, but yeah, so breakfast is great. I went there every day. It does feel very busy. You might feel like, oh gosh, it's busy. You might not be able to find a table, but it's a big place. It repeats itself, doesn't
yes,
it?
It's quite like when you first go in, you'll think, oh my gosh, it's quite small. But if you carry on, what is such a huge thing, but because the way the sort of segments, especially Marceline's, if you just keep walking, you'll find a table.
Somewhere. The cast members will try and help you. People will go, well, we're leaving now. Even the cast members said to us, like, it is kind of a bit of a, just grab a table when you can, like, don't worry, just give it a little bit of time. It might feel a bit that every other breakfast day it wasn't like that. It was just that initial dinner time at lunchtime when we got on the ship, and again, all your drinks are there, your coffees, all self-serve. The cast members are there to give out your knives and forks to clear. It works. It's amazing how it works. But that is a great place for breakfast. Say room service breakfast. You can do the sit down if you prefer a bit of a quieter breakfast. You've got your quick serve places like Pinocchio's Pizzeria. Yeah, so on deck 11. So that deck 11 is like that's your pool. You kind of
it's like it's not a promenade deck, but it's like the main deck where all the swimming pools are. And
so it can be quite busy. Yeah. If you don't like that type of thing, it is a busier area, but you do usually have to walk through deck 11 to get to a lot of things, and then you can go off to the adults only bit if you're me. But that has on the Treasure it had like tacos, it had like Donald's Cantina, it had this amazing Mickey like smokehouse with like brisket and sides, and I didn't particularly like Marceline Market at lunch. I wasn't fancying anything on the menu. They had amazing like chicken tikka masala, all sorts of different, like not just burger and chips.
Did you know they rotate the things like that as well? So they always have they have the things that have the same every day, like Marceline's and Cabana's, but then there's always something every day that's special for the day.
Yes,
so like one day they
chef's
might have
favourites
Chinese,
or something they call it.
Chinese food. One day we've been on the ship before and they had traditional fish and chips. But the fish was like Epcot.
Oh,
do you know?
Chippy
outside. It was like that kind of fish. Even in like little newspapers.
Oh, cute. So they theme it to kind of the different days.
Yeah, every day you got something different.
I didn't fancy it. I went up to the smokehouse, got my little platter tray with my sides, and just took it down and just ate it then in Marceline Market. So
but there's even like self-serve ice cream on the ships as well, so you can eat as much as you want. You can make it yourself try and make it.
Yeah, on the Treasure I noticed that's more the cast members do it for you there, and on the Fantasy
they did as well.
so they've changed it slightly on the bigger ships. Now I don't know, say it's just something they probably realised over the years what's more efficient. That'd be me. I couldn't do it. On Castaway Quay you could do your own actually, but that's all free soft serve.
Different flavours.
There's fruit platters, there's so much
food galore on all the Disney Cruise Line ships, and like I was saying, the cast members are a big part of it, but I do think food's a big part of a Disney Cruise Line experience as well, because the food is so good. I've never had anything that I've not liked on a Disney cruise.
Say back to the rotational dining, which is your evening time meal, you get starter, main and dessert. Your starters can be like an appetizer or a soup. You can get, now I tend to have 2 starters. I always love the soup, and I usually get one of the appetizers. I'll get 1 main and I'll get sometimes 2 desserts because I can't choose, because all of them are so nice, and each restaurant has a particular one that's like really special or like to the restaurant. If you're my boyfriend who went on the Fantasy, he was having 3 mains because he couldn't choose between.
Because you can.
Yeah.
You can.
They're not massive portions, really. It's quality over quantity, definitely on the rotational ones. So if you can't choose between, like I think my friend Stacey the other day couldn't choose between the chicken and the tuna or the salmon. So the server went, "Do you have both?" Yeah. And she was glad she did that because she tried the chicken, wasn't too fond on that, but loved the other one. Yeah. Whereas I would say usually get about 2 appetizers. Again, obviously, don't waste food. If food, if you don't need to, but you can. Like if you want to try some stuff, like my mum had lobster on the lobster night one, which she never usually would have at home, but it was a great way of trying lobster without spending loads on a lobster and then not liking it.
Exactly, because I actually tried lobster for the first time on a Disney cruise ship, found out I didn't like it. Not a big lover of seafood, to be honest, but like you were saying with regards to the starter, main course and dessert, let's say Enchanted Garden on the Disney Fantasy and the Disney Dream is one of my favourite Disney Cruise Line restaurants. And they do the cucumber rolls as a starter.
Okay.
And when we were on the Fantasy, bear in mind we're on there for 2 weeks, I said to Crystal, who was our server, I said, next time I have this, I said, can you double it up for me? So basically they put double the amount on my plate for me.
Yeah.
But not only that, she said to me, because some of the nights I didn't like some of the starters.
Yeah.
So she said to me, if you let me know in advance the day before, I can get the chef to do these cucumber rolls every day for you for a starter.
Yeah, so that happened with my boyfriend as well. He really liked the souffle from the first night, and the second night on the fantasy, he was like, can I have that souffle again? And he went, yeah, no problem. He was able to bring it across. If you're very fussy, particular with your food, they'll cater for it. They'll get something, because it isn't, again, those menus aren't your basic food as well. There's got different, there's usually a fish, a steak, and there's also, every single night there's always going to be a steak, a chicken, and I think a salmon. That's the lighter menu, so there's always something on there as well.
I usually mostly, if there's not a steak on the main menu for the night, I usually go with a lighter note steak. But towards the end of the fantasy cruise last week, I was actually asking for 2 steaks on my plate as a main. So instead of bringing 2 plates out, I just put an extra steak on my plate. But the dining is so good.
As you can tell, we've talked a lot about dining. I think if you guys want us to, we should we do a full dining episode, because there's so much to go into, and I know it's a big part.
We've not even had a chance to talk about the shows or anything on Disney Cruise Line. So
I think we need a part 2.
I think we do need a part 2 for this podcast, because we haven't spoke about the Broadway style shows, we haven't spoken about the children's clubs, we haven't spoken about the adult only areas in depth, we haven't spoken about the staterooms. So I think what we're going to do, guys, is we'll call this podcast a day for now. We'll do a part 2, but if you can comment or email us at info@everafterholidays.com.
What's your favourite? Have you been on there before? What was your favourite food?
What's your favourite ship? What would you like us to talk about? Because we need to do a part 2 on Disney Cruise Line, and I think we also need to do an episode on Castaway Cay and Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point. And I also think we need to do an episode for each of the ships as well. Yeah, I know. There's so much. As you can tell, we absolutely love Disney Cruise, and I love Disney Cruise. Yeah, I've fallen in love with it. Again, it could be the time of, I've been lucky enough to go to the parks from being a child, and I love the parks. I absolutely love going there, but I don't know if it's the age I am now. I don't know whether I've done so much of the past. That's just been very fortunate to go. I know it's a more relaxing way to do Disney. I mean, we're babbling on again now. I think we should call it a day now for this episode. But there will be a part 2. And we hope that this has been interesting and inspired you to think about including a Disney cruise on your next Disney holiday or Orlando holiday, wherever in the world you want to go.
Ask us how we can put that into your holiday somehow in a perfect itinerary, including a cruise, because they are amazing.
But thank you very much, guys, and we will see you in episode 6 next week.
See you then.
Bye. Thank you for joining us on the Ever Aftercast.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, be sure to subscribe and share the magic. For more Disney and Universal travel inspiration, visit everafterholidays.com or follow us on social media.
You can follow myself, Mattie, on Instagram at Mattie Happily Ever After.
And you can follow me, Laura, at Kind of Magic Laura.
If you want to find daily holiday offers and more, you can also visit facebook.com/everafterholidays or follow our Instagram at eafterholidays.
If you'd like to be a guest on a future episode, or you have any questions you'd like us to answer, please email info@everafterholidays.com.
See you real soon.